Okay, so we're going to start by drawing our grid. You guys are working in 1 inch by 1 inch for ease, but I am, or 1 foot by 1 foot, right? So on your scale rule. But for mine, so it can fit within our camera angle, I'm going to do 3/8. So the first thing you need to do is just measure out your space. So remember, you're to do 12 foot by 9 foot. Something's off on mine, so give me a minute. Nope, that's right. Okay, so 12 by 9. I would like you guys to be working in pencil at this point till you get your grid done correctly, because there's lines that you're not going to need. So first thing you do is you draw your 12 foot by 9 foot cube, which is basically an elevation, right? It's the rear elevation of the wall. So I'm going to go ahead and mark every foot horizontally and vertically. Remember, do this in pencil and take your time, because as accurate as your grid is as accurate as your drawing is going to be. Okay? So you just go ahead and draw all your horizontal and vertical lines. Okay, so I now have my back elevation that is 12 feet wide by 9 feet high. Okay? So what I need to do now is figure out where my horizon line goes. And your horizon line is typically set at the average eye height of the intended person for the space. So the typical eye height that we use in perspectives, I'm sure Aaron taught you this in SketchUp, is 5'6". So I'm going to come up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is my 5 foot high, and then 5'6" would be here in the middle of this box. So I'm using a different colored pencil to demonstrate for you guys. If it helps you use a different color, if it doesn't, I mean, there's no need to. I'm just doing it because I thought it would be more helpful. Okay, so over here on the side, I'm going to go ahead and call this my horizon line. Okay, just to remind myself. Then the next thing you want to do is select your vanishing point. So I've asked you guys to come in 5 feet from the right. So this would be 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 4 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot. And I'm going to make a circle and write vanishing point. Okay. Next thing you're going to do, and feel free to pause this video at any time, is you're going to draw your floor, ceiling, and wall edge lines. Now if you look in the handout I gave you, the lines on the back wall are dotted, but once they hit the corner, they go solid. I left those dotted, I'll do it on this one, just to remind everybody that you're going to the vanishing point. So we've done our top wall edge on that side. On the left-hand side, I'm now going to do my floor wall edge. While my triangle is in that position, I'll go up and do my right-hand ceiling edge. Now notice they're different, right, from one side to the other. It's because my vanishing point is not in the center. Okay. It's always better to do asymmetrical perspective as opposed to putting your vanishing point right in the center and making everything symmetrical, because it can begin to be a little boring unless there's something significant that you're wanting to show that way. So now that I've added my edge lines, I now have a ceiling plane, a floor plane, and 2 side wall planes to go with my back wall plane. Okay? So now we need to establish the grid on these other 4 planes. So to do that, we need to create what's called a depth plane. And that's what allows me to get the depth to my grid. So for your depth plane, you take the entire width of your back, which is 12 foot, plus half of the width. So 12 plus 6, right? So that's 18 feet. So from the vanishing point, I'm going to measure to my left 18 feet out at the scale that I'm using. So again, for you, that is your 1 foot, or 1 inch equals 1 foot. And for me, that is 3/8 inch. So you can see over here, I've come out from my vanishing point 18 feet. This is now my depth point. Okay, so now the depth point, what that does for me is helps me find my floor grid. It helps define it. You always use the depth point on your floor. Okay, so what I'm going to do, it's similar to the wall plane, edge planes. I'm going to come through the depth point, but I'm coming through the bottom corner of the, make sure you can see it, coming through the bottom corner of the wall plane. Okay, so this, again, I'm just using another color and showing you the dashed lines to just show where it lines up to. This is now my depth plane. Okay, so in order to fulfill my grid on the floor, I now am going to, from the vanishing point through each one of the lines on my back wall grid, I'm going to draw those extensions. Again, I'm doing mine in ink so you can see it better, and also because I've made a few hundred of these. But pencil's always good because there's always mistakes the first time you do anything, and then you can correct them, and then you can ink back over it once you feel like you've got everything correct the way you want it. Okay, so I'm just going to keep doing, and you notice at where the vanishing point is, it's now a straight line. That's the only place you'll have a straight line again off the, other than the back grid, would be on your ceiling and your floor at that vanishing point. Okay, so now I've got the start of my grid on the bottom. Now the reason we put the depth point is, so now every place these lines cross my depth point line, that's where I now make my horizontal line. Okay, so now I'm establishing that this cube is actually square and is 1 foot by 1 foot. I'm just seeing it in a perspective angle. Okay, so again, I align across the depth point and go down, keeping my triangle or ruler as horizontal as possible. Again, the clear triangles are great because let you really see to help you align by hand. Again, take your time. Okay, so you can see now I've completed my grid on my floor. So now I need to add my grid to my two side walls and my ceiling. But do remember, you have to do the floor first. So next, everywhere that this line, my horizontal floor line, meets my wall edge, I now take a line straight up. So that's keeping everything aligned, right? Our squares are perfectly aligned from the back wall forward to the floor up. Okay, so you'll continue those out till the end, and then you'll start with your vanishing point again where the cube on the back wall goes. Again, we're just creating the extension that they're all aligned. Okay. So you want to do this on your left and finish this right side wall, extending all the way out, and then do the same thing on your left. Okay, so now I've got both wall planes done with my floor. Now I can move on to the ceiling. So remember, this is the order: back wall, floor, left or right, either one first, doesn't matter, and then you end with the ceiling. And that's because at this point you're going to connect the cubes. Okay, so again, this is where your clear triangle comes in really handy, and you just are going to align them. All the way up. So you'll keep doing that, and then again from the vanishing point through these lines here. Okay, so you can see I've now completed my ceiling grid, and I've got a little oopsie line, but it doesn't matter, just correct it and you can leave it in there. So again, I've now got my cube, I've got my floor plane, my ceiling plane, and my two side wall planes, and my back rear plane. So now you have now you have grid in a one-point grid. Now you have drawn a one-point grid for perspective. And we will use this for another exercise. So again, keep this grid. We're going to work on top of it. So you might want to go back over it in ink, just the important lines, the grids. You don't necessarily have to put in the depth point, as long as you give yourself the dot to the side, and the same with the vanishing point. If you have any questions, let me know.